Okay, so today onwards we will be going to study the fourth unit, the topics related to fourth unit. So here basically in the fourth unit we will be going with different types of communication or type of transmission in 8085 basically. So in case of 8085, what type of transmissions are there? So in this type of transmission we will basically go with parallel and serial transmission. Okay, or serial and parallel transmission, or we call it data transfer basically. Next we will see different peripheral devices. So in this peripheral devices we will see different type of peripheral devices that are uh, important components of 8085 microprocessor, and that are used to enhance the facilities or functions provided by 8085. So these peripheral devices, we will see some of the peripheral devices such as like 8257. This is the IC number of the peripheral device, that external device we will be connecting. So this is IC number 8257. This is used for direct memory access, that is direct DMA, we call it DMA controller. Okay. So this is direct memory access controller. Okay, so this is used with the 8085 microprocessor to enhance the facilities provided by the 8085. So in 8085, if it wants to communicate with a device that is having a slower speed than 8085 microprocessor, then it needs 8257 IC, that is called DMA controller, that is used to provide direct communication between the external device with the data available with the microprocessor. So here microprocessor will not be communicating. So communication will be taking place with respect to the commands given by the DMA controller. Okay, so it is uh, used to transfer basically the data from the memory of the microprocessor to the external input output devices. Okay, the next we will see is 8255. So this 8255 is called PPI, that is programmable peripheral interface. So it is used for the interfacing purposes. Okay, it is programmable peripheral interface. So how we will be connecting different peripherals to the microprocessor? This will help to uh, connect that external peripheral devices to the microprocessor. Next one is 8259. So these are the IC numbers basically of different peripheral devices. So one of these DMA controller PPI, that is a programmable peripheral interface. The 8259 is given by programmable interrupt controller. So this is basically for interrupt controller. It is an interrupt controller. P stands for programmable. So it is programmable interrupt controller. That means which interrupt to be controlled on by which command, which input signal. This is uh, decided by the PIC. The next we will see 8253, or we also call it 8254 also. So this is uh, PIT. So this is programmable interval timer. So basically this 8254 is for timer. Okay, so there are a few more, we will see that also. Okay, so these are the different components of 8085, and we will be going one by one. So before starting with the peripheral devices, we will go with what is the type of different type of communications taking a place in 8085. We will start with that today. Okay. Okay. So here the communication in 8085 is going to take place. Communication here means we are going to transfer data. So if two devices are there, either microprocessor or another input output device or a peripheral device, how the communication should be taking place between the microprocessor and other device, that is governed by two methods. Okay, so one is parallel method, parallel or parallel data transfer. The next one is the serial data transfer. Okay, so there are two different type of data transfer that can take, or there are two different method of communication, parallel communication data transfer. Okay, so here in 8085 microprocessor is basically a parallel device. So in case of 8085, if we consider, so basically the 8085 is a parallel device. So here we can write like 8085 is a parallel device. That means it can access a data parallelly and it can process the data parallelly. Okay, 8-bit data basically. So it is a parallel device, and basically it processes 8-bit data at a time. Okay, so as it is a parallel device, it transfers 8-bit of data simultaneously or at a time over 8-bit of lines. Okay, so it will be transmitting 8-bit of data over 8-bit of lines, data lines. Okay, that's why it is called parallel. It is called like it is having the parallel input output mode of transmission. The communication, or here basically we are going for transmission. So what type of transmission? Data transmission we are basically going to deal with. So data transmission deals with the parallel transmission, data transmission, or serial. So here in case of parallel data transfer, it is of different types. So one of the type is, we can write, so one of the data transfer uh, types of this parallel data transfer is called programmable programmable input output data transfer. This is the first uh, type of transmission. So it is further divided into two parts. One is synchronous, another one is asynchronous. Okay. Next type is basically controlled by the interrupts. So it is called interrupt driven input output data transfer. Third type is basically called device external device type, or we basically call it DMA, direct memory access type data transfer. Okay, so there are three different type of data transfer if we are going if we are dealing with the parallel data transfer. In case of serial data transfer, it is basically uh, divided into two types. One is synchronous, another one is asynchronous. Okay, so here this synchronous and asynchronous are combinedly divided into three different you can say. So this is the major type. of data transmission in serial case like synchronous and asynchronous, based on the type of what type of data we are going to transfer. So based on how we are going to make the transmission in serial, it is further divided into three different types. One is simplex, another one is half duplex, and third one is full duplex. Okay, so we will see that one by one, like how these type of data transmissions are basically different from one another. So the first type is, in case of parallel, we will be dealing with the first type, that is programmable input output data transfer. Okay, so here this programmable input output data transfer is a data transfer where the data transmission will be taking place with the help of instructions. If we are going to make this data transfer with the help of instructions like in instruction or out instruction, so we use in and out instructions in 8085, even 8086 also. So in 8085, in and out instructions are used. So after in, we give 8 bit of address, that is port address. So by using in and by out, we can communicate the external peripheral device connected to a particular port of the uh, this 8085. That data can be communicated with the memory available of 8085. Okay, so here it is further divided into two different types. So basically we will see the first type, that is synchronous. So synchronous data type, data transfer basically. So here in case of synchronous data transfer, as we all know, the synchronous means whatever function it is performing, it will be performing at the same time. So synchronous data transfer will be taking place at same time. So synchronous data transfer will be taking place at same time, and as it is going to take place at same time, that means it has common clock. Okay, it has common clock, and this common clock will be with the microprocessor and the external device, we call it, or device we can call it. So microprocessor and device will be having a common clock, then only the synchronous data transfer will be taking place. Okay, the next one is like, here this synchronous data type of data transmission will only be taking place when the speed of microprocessor will be similar to or equal to speed of the external device basically, or we call it a device. So if the external device speed is having the similar speed with the microprocessor, then only the synchronous data transfer will be taking place. Okay, if it is having different speed, then the synchronous data transfer type will not be taking place. Okay, so as we all know, the microprocessor speed is very high. It is available in gigahertz. So there are rarely devices that matches the speed of the microprocessor. So it is rarely used, we can call it. So it is seldom, we call it seldom used technique, uh, uh, seldom used method for data transfer as no device matches the speed of microprocessor. Okay, so as there are very rarely some devices are available that matches the speed of the microprocessor, so it is less frequently used technique. Okay, so it is where it is used. So basically it is used with some compatible memory devices. Some memory devices matches the speed of the microprocessor, so a direct data transfer can be taken place with the help of asynchronous data transfer between microprocessor and some memory related devices. Okay, the next one is like asynchronous. So asynchronous type of data transfer basically. So here it is asynchronous. So this will only be taking place like when the external device, or we call it the device to which the data is being transferred, that device will be having a slower device or having slower speed. So the device will have slower speed than the microprocessor. Okay, so if the device is having slower speed than the microprocessor, then asynchronous type of data transfer will be taking place. Okay, and here basically the clock of the microprocessor and the device will be different. Okay, so it has common clock in synchronous. So here different clock we call it for microprocessor and device. Okay, and also as it is asynchronous, it will be taking place at irregular intervals. Okay, so it will be taking place at in irregular intervals, as it has different clock. It will be taking place at different time periods or interval. Okay, one of the important criteria for this asynchronous type of data transfer is then is like it will be using hand hand shaking signals are required. So hand shaking signals are like if two devices need to be communicated with each other. Okay, so one device will request the availability of this is microprocessor, this is device. So it will send a request and it will send the acknowledgement, and if microprocessor is available and it accepts the request and sends the acknowledgement, then the data transfer will be taking place. So there will be a requiring of a handshaking signal. So these signals like requesting for a data transfer, requesting for a permission and then accepting the permission, these type of signals are basically called handshaking signals. So here in case of asynchronous type of data transfer, handshaking signals are required. Okay, the next second type of data transfer is interrupt driven input output data transfer. Okay, so here in case of interrupt type of data transfer, what is the need of this interrupt type of data transfer is basically in case of the first type that we have seen, programmable input output data transfer, there is very much wastage of time. Okay, because it is going to spend some time in handshaking. So this handshaking, basically this handshaking is going to utilize more time. That means the data transfer will be requiring more time. Okay, so this data transfer will basically the synchronous or asynchronous in case of a program called input data transfer. This handshaking type of signals and different requests will basically require more time. So to reduce this type of time, basically the uh, interrupt type of interrupt driven input output data transfer can be utilized. So here also uh, this was the basic request, but in case of this interrupt type of data transmission, also there is a request sent by the device, and this request is basically called the interrupt request. So INTR is sent by the device, that means to the microprocessor. Okay. So here also the interrupt request is used. Interrupt request is sent by the device, and interrupt acknowledgement will be sent by the microprocessor. If uh, if the device wants to send some data, it will give interrupt request to the microprocessor, and if the microprocessor is available or based on the priority of the interrupt, it will be acknowledging the device. So microprocessor, if microprocessor acknowledges the device, then the data transfer will be taking place between these two devices. This could be either direction. Okay, so this is how in case of interrupt driven input output devices the data transfer will be taking place. Okay, in the third one, that is DMA type data transfer, basically that means direct memory access type data transfer. So here in case of DMA type of data transfer, it is going to, so in the previous two, so the above first and second that we have seen, in these two, basically the data transfer takes place through accumulator accumulator of 8085. So accumulator of 8085 will be sending the data, like in case of here the first one we are using the input output instructions. So in input output instructions, the one of the source or destination of the data will be in the form of accumulator. Here in case of interrupt driven input output data transfer also, whatever interrupt request have been requested and acknowledgement has been provided, then data transfer will be taken place with the help of accumulator. So first of all, data will be transferred to accumulator, and then accumulator will be transferring the data to the devices. Okay, so this was the method in case of the first and second. Okay, and also if you want to this first and second, or you can say not feasible if large data need to be transferred. Okay, if you want to transfer large data, these two methods are not feasible. Why? Because in both the methods, accumulator is one of the medium through which the data is going to be transferred. So once the accumulator is going to transfer the data, that means for each data it will be sending the data from the memory to accumulator, then accumulator to the device, and again for the next data the same process will be taking place. So it is very time taking. So that's why this type of data transfer should be avoided. So to avoid this uh, uh, disadvantage of the data transfer, whatever you can say, the limitation of the data transfer, the next data transfer type is basically the DMA type. So here in case of a DMA type, the data transfer will be taking place between the microprocessor memory and the device. So the data transfer with the microprocessor memory to the device will be taking place through another device. That device will be DMA, that is direct memory access. So in this direct memory access, what happens is DMA requests permission of accessing the data lines and control lines and address lines of microprocessors. So basically DMA controls the data and uh, control buses of microprocessor, and it does not require the permission of microprocessor again and again for each data. Once the DMA has got the permission from the microprocessor, DMA can directly access the memory available to the microprocessor, and it will be directly accessing the data from the memory, and it can directly send the data to the device. Okay, so this is the advantage of DMA, memory transfer or data transfer. Okay, so in DMA type of data transfer, that is basically done. So if that is done without the help of accumulator or without the help of microprocessor, and it is directly done by the DMA controller. So that's why it takes very less time. Therefore, it is called the fastest type of data transfer. Okay, so it is this scheme is basically considered as the fastest scheme of data transfer. Okay, and also here the data transfer takes place without help of accumulator. Okay, without help of accumulator basically. Okay, so these are the different types of parallel input output data transfer. Now we will see the serial input output data transfer. Okay, so here in case of serial data transfer, so the serial data transfer is the data transfer like here single bit. So a single bit of data will be transmitted at a time. Okay, so here transmission will be taking place one bit at a time. Okay, so in case of parallel, if in case of parallel we were transmitting 8 bit at the same time. Okay, so 8 bit is like Suppose this is the first bit, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, eight. Suppose these are the 8 bit. So 8 data lines are there. Okay. So if the data lines are activated, all the bits will be appearing at the output at the same time. Okay. 8 data lines are basically there. We call it data lines, we can say. Okay. But in case of serial transmission, what we need to do is we have to convert this parallel data. Okay, so this is a parallel data to a serial data, and serial data will be like the one, the first bit is 0, then second bit is 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So this is called your serial data. So here the parallel data, the whatever data is there, parallel data has been converted to serial data. So the method through which we will be converting is basically called parallel to serial converter. Okay, so here we are basically going to convert parallel data to serial data, and then in serial data one data will be transmitting at a time. Then after transmitting the first data, the second data will be transmitted, then third one, okay, and the fourth one. So this is how we will be transmitting the data through the serial data transmission. Okay, so based on so based on the data transfer, based on the data transfer method or data transfer type, we call it, there are different type of serial data transfer. The first one we can note it down is like, the first one is called simplex type of data transfer. So in case of simplex type of data transfer, the data that is being transferred, this data transfer will be taking place such that only one, it will be transmitting in only one direction. Okay, so here simplex means, so the data transfer will take place only in one direction. Okay, so here the data transfer will be taking place in only one direction. So for example, like we are going to print something, so there should be a transmission of data from computer to your printer. So computer to printer, only one way the transmission will be taking place. Printer cannot give the input to the computer. Only the data will be transmitting from computer to printer. So this is called a simplex type of data transmission. The next one is half duplex. So in half duplex, the data transmission will be taking place in both directions. Data transfer will be taking place. Data transmission in both directions will be taking place, but one type, one direction at a time, we call it. So, so data transfer will be taking place such that one direction at a time. So at a time, only one direction, in one direction only the data transmission will be taking place. So the example of this half duplex is basically log a walkie-talkie. So here the data transmission will be taking place such that the data transmission will be taking place only in one direction at a time. But uh, here the data transmission is taking place in both directions, but only one direction at a time. That's why it is called half duplex. The next one is third one is called full duplex. So in full duplex, the data transmission basically will be taking place in both directions, and in both direction and also at same time. At same time, the data transmission can be taking place at in both the directions. That is called the full duplex type. So for example, it is telephone lines. These are the example of full duplex type of data transmission. And in this serial type of data transmission also, it is further divided into two different types. So there are three different methods in that. It is further divided into two different types, synchronous and asynchronous again. Okay, so it is further divided into two different types, synchronous and asynchronous. So here in case of synchronous, it includes basically to transfer the data, how the transmission will be taking place. So as it is transferring one bit at a time, okay, it is transferring this way. So to make this system to be a synchronous one, what it does is it includes it includes synchronous bits. So to synchronize the transmission of data in serial uh, way, it is going to include some synchronous bits into the data. Okay. In case of asynchronous, it also adds some synchronous, or we can call it is not a synchronous type data transmission, but it includes some start and stop a type of bits. Like if data is being transferred, so what particular bit should be there, the combination of bits or bits only, that will activate. Like from there onwards the data has been uh, transmitted. So if the first bit, start bit, have been received, then whatever data will be coming out, that will be considered as a data to the receiver. And if the stop bits it receives, then it is like the end of data transmission has reached. Okay, so basically in asynchronous, to have the identification whether when the data has started and when the data is going to stop, that includes, basically it includes start and stop bit in each of the data frames. Okay. So a set of data that to be transferred is considered as a frame. So this is a frame. Into that it will be including one start bit and one stop bit. Okay. So this start bit and stop bit will indicate like when the data transmission, after receiving this start bit, whatever data is being received, that will be considered as the data. And after the end bit that we have received, there is no data. Okay, this is called end bit. So R is, we call it stop bit. So there will be no further data transmission will be taking place through the serial communication. Okay. In case of asynchronous, if there is no data is being transferred, that means if no data is transferred, then also if no data is being transferred, is being, if no data is being transferred, then also this type of system will be uh, keep on transmitting the synchronous bit. It will keep on sending the synchronous bit so that synchronization can be maintained. Okay, so to maintain a synchronous type of system, this synchronous bits are always sent even if there is no data. Okay, in case of asynchronous, if there is no data, then it will be marked like, if there is no data, then it is marked like uh, logic high will be sending. It will be keep on sending the logic high, or you can call it logic high or logic 1 bit. So if no data is being transferred, it will keep on sending the 1 bit. Okay, so this is called this logic high bit that we see send, that condition is called mark. This is called like mark. We are sending the mark. Okay, if there is no data, but then also if logic low is being transferred, then this is considered as space. We call it space. Okay, this is just an indication. That means if mark came, that means no data is being transferred. Even if the uh, space came, no data is being transferred. Okay, so here no data transmission will be marked as either mark or space if it is transferring the low, total low or total high. Okay, so this is all about basically the data transmission types and data transmission that takes place through different communication mediums. Okay, so in 808.5 basically we will be dealing with the different data type. So after that we will see different peripheral devices that are available, and how these peripheral devices are going to communicate between the microprocessor 808.5 and to the external peripheral devices. That we will be starting in the next class. So thank you, and if you have any queries you can comment down below, and or you can send messages if your queries are there. Instead of commenting, you can send to directly to me on WhatsApp. Okay, so we will see the peripheral devices into the next class basically. Thank you.